Let's face it, visiting Disney World now is not as easy peasy lemon squeezy as it used to be. There's a lot that goes into planning and preparing for a Disney World trip, and also a lot that goes into actually being at Disney World. But listen, you're visiting the most magical place on earth. Let's help allow you to make the most of your visit by decreasing the amount of stress you may experience while visiting. The one way that you can limit stress while at Disney World is by making your theme park reservations before actually getting to Disney World. Now, every guest that is wanting to go to a Disney theme park has to have a reservation made for the theme park they are planning on visiting. Now, I have heard it happen before, and the last thing that you would want to have happen is to have everything purchased for your Disney trip, have the tickets purchased, but not have a reservation made, and then get to Disney World and find that there are no reservations left for the parks that you are wanting to visit, and then from there, you aren't able to visit the parks. Now, to me, that seems extremely stressful, and so to limit that altogether, I highly recommend as soon as you purchase your tickets, or as soon as you know what you are planning on doing whenever at Disney World, make those reservations as quick as possible. When actually visiting the theme parks, you may have some items or essentials that you are planning on bringing with you to the parks, and so I recommend the night before you are visiting the parks, have everything laid out ahead of time. This is essential for many reasons. One reason is because when you get up in the morning, you may have a lot going on, you may be very excited to actually get to Disney World, and you don't want to forget anything. Once you get to the theme parks, you don't want to find out that you had forgotten your wallet or some other essential item that you hoped you had during the day and then have to head back to your hotel. So figure out everything that you need, have it all set out and ready the night before you're actually visiting the parks. So that way you can get up and get ready and get going. Speaking of getting to the parks and around Disney property in general, the other thing that you're going to want to have a good feeling on to limit some stress is to know how Disney transportation works. Now, there are a ton of ways to get around Disney World. You can take a Disney World bus, there's a monorail, the Skyliner, water taxis, you name it, they have a lot of options to help you get around Disney property. But in order to make the most of this Disney transportation that you have available to you, you're going to want to know how it works. Disney transportation is not only good for getting you from your resort to the parks, but it's also great for resort hopping and park hopping. Instead of wasting time and trying to figure out how to get around Disney property whenever you're actually there, I recommend looking up and figuring out how to get around ahead of time. If you don't know where to start when it comes to figuring out how Disney transportation works, I have a simple guide here in another YouTube video that details all of the Disney transportation options and how you can use them to your advantage. When getting around Disney property, did you realize that Disney World is as big as it really is? Disney World property is huge and it can take some time to get from place to place, and so I definitely recommend budgeting time for travel around Disney property. This will help you to limit some stress because say you have a dining reservation that is at a different resort or at a different park, you'll want to make sure that you're leaving enough time to use Disney transportation to get to that reservation so that way you don't miss it. This is also essential if you're planning on doing park hopping when you're at Disney World. Now, there are some easy ways to do park hopping. There's some Disney transportation that actually connects each of the parks together, but it's a good idea to know how far away the parks are so that way you aren't wasting time trying to get from park to park when park hopping. One thing that I like to do whenever driving around and getting from place to place is actually putting the directions in Google Maps and seeing how long it's going to take me to actually get from each location. And this can be really helpful for you too if it's your first time visiting Disney World, because then you can get an idea of where everything is located and how far apart everything is. The last way you can decrease stress here at Disney World is by not waiting in lines that you don't have to. You may get really stressed out waiting in lines, feeling that you're not able to make the most of your time there, or just get stressed out in general with all of the people that you have around you. So there's a couple of ways that you can avoid lines in general when it comes to Disney World. When shopping at Disney World, you can take advantage of the mobile checkout option that are in some of their stores. By having the My Disney Experience app downloaded, you can scan all of the items that you are looking to purchase at the Disney store, purchase them through the app, show your purchase confirmation to a cast member, and away you go, and you don't have to worry about waiting in the long lines that are at the Disney stores. Another way you can avoid lines is by using mobile ordering when you're at the theme parks. A lot of the quick service food stops in the parks do require mobile ordering, but there are some places that you can just walk up and order. But to avoid waiting in any lines that you may have to wait in, you can just do mobile ordering on the app and it'll let you know when your food or your snacks are ready. Now, when it comes to dining at restaurants at Disney World, they do have walk-up waiting lists that you can put your names on, but to make sure that you don't have to wait in lines or wait to get a seat at a restaurant, you can make reservations ahead of time. That way it guarantees you a spot to eat at the restaurant. You can even take advantage of this whenever it comes to checking into your room if you're staying on Disney property. There is a mobile cool check-in option that you can use. So instead of waiting in a line to check in for your resort, or instead of just waiting in general, you can go ahead and already check in on the My Disney Experience app to help save you some time. Now, if it's your first time visiting Disney World and some of these things seemed a little foreign to you, here's a video that shares some things that you should know for your first time visiting Disney World, as well as the simple Disney transportation guide that I talked about earlier in the video. Ultimately, preparation is key when it comes to visiting Disney World. I hope you have a very stress-free trip, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys!